So thank you all for coming out. This is our, I can't count that, second meeting of this academic year, entrepreneurial year. First time here at this location, a couple of seats over here. So hopefully you're all here for the D-NewTech meeting. If you're here for the $50,000 giveaway, that's in the next room around the corner. And I'll be right behind you, so don't let your heels get stepped on. So again, thank you all for coming out. Looking forward to a really fun meeting tonight. We have our keynote speaker, and then we've got 5 actual presenters. Before I get started, I want to thank our sponsors, DNewTech, Core Merchants, Text Ripple, Blue Water Angels, Quicken Loans, and our newest sponsor, all the way from the west side of the state, which is where I now call home, Star Garden. So Tom continues to spread tentacles out. I think he's got trips scheduled to Australia, New Zealand, and Germany, looking for our next set of sponsors. So that'll come along. I definitely want to thank the folks at Atomic Object for loaning us their building. We might not ever leave. This place look awesome or what? Hang our sleeping bags from the rafters, and you won't leave ever. So, you guys moved here June or July?
June. Mid-June is when we opened up.
Another West Side company spreading out here to the East Side. I think everyone knows the format. We have our keynote speaker. We'll go into our entrepreneurs. 5-minute timed presentation. I have a really loud timer. Todd has a really loud timer, so it will go off in 5 minutes. We'll cut you off in mid-sentence. We'll let you finish in 5. And then we'll have 5 minutes of Q&A. So, Martin, if you'll sort of make your way through the crowd and come on.
Want to give Bruce an opportunity to kind of just give a few words?
Don't prompt me with that. Yes. Bruce, go ahead.
Okay. First, most important thing, you've seen this bathroom. But if you want to be more discreet after that water flows through you, there's another bathroom right around there. Okay? So if you're bold and bodacious there, if you're that way. All right. Bruce Watson, Atomic Object. We grew up in Grand Rapids. We're about a $5 million software company. Web, mobile, desktop, and what we call embedded or firmware that goes into it. As you're walking around the windowsills in the entryway, back here on the table, and over there by the good food, we laid out some examples of some of our projects in case you're curious. But anyway, we're very happy to have you here. We're hoping that we're going to host again in November, and our co-founder, Carl Erickson, will actually present at that particular meeting. So I hope to see you guys back then. Okay, cool.
Our first speaker tonight will be Martin Dober. Martin is Senior Vice President of Entrepreneurship and Innovation with MEDC. Martin's a pretty cool guy to know. He runs a very, very small, insignificant portion of MEDC. It's like $2 billion. But who cares about a couple of zeros between friends? But he and his organization support a lot of the entrepreneurship activities going on around the states to try and reinvent where we're going. Before joining MEDC, Martin worked for iRobot, American Systems Technology, EIP. He works as a small business technology consultant for SBTDC. And he used to work with my wife way back in the Chrysler days. So he has a lot of really good things about him. Also graduated of Harvard Business School. So, Martin, come on up, please.
So, thanks everyone. You forgot to mention that other 3-letter institution that I'm a graduate of, GMI. So, are you familiar with that? Oh, sorry. Okay. So, thanks for having me out here tonight. So, beyond my role at the MEDC, I will say that Tran has been asking me for quite some time to come out here and speak to you all. It's been probably over a year now that I've had the request, and so it's great that I could finally be here. I kept turning Ton down, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Well, Martin, you're my brother-in-law." What does that mean? As you can see from the resemblance, there's some family resemblance between me and Ton, but he's my brother-in-law actually, and we're married to sisters. So, well, I'm married to his sister. So, anyways, I finally made it out to you, thanks to Tom. And what I wanted to do was tell you a little bit about the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the programs that we have to really help mainly technology companies, which is the part of the MEDC that I run. How many of you are familiar with the MEDC? You heard the Pure Michigan campaign, and yeah, it's wonderful stuff, right? So the group that I run at the MEDC, and I've been there for about 6 years now, the group that I run is called the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Team. And we administer a program called the state's 21st Century Jobs Fund. It's been around for quite some time. That's why when you talk about it from over a 10-year period, it's $2 billion. But really we get about $25 million that I have a budget for each year to invest in entrepreneurship programs around the state. What we do is we invest in primarily 5 different things. I like to categorize them into about 5 different areas. One is early stage funding. So programs that support entrepreneurs at very, very early stages. You may be familiar with the Michigan Pre-Seed Fund. That's a program that comes from the MEDC and Dober funds it for the state. And so that's an example of one of those programs. And I'll go into some more detail a little bit later. So early stage funding is one key component of what we do. Second one is entrepreneurial services that we help provide. So we work with a number of nonprofit organizations and we provide funding to them that support entrepreneurs. So everything from incubators, accelerators, even universities, and other nonprofit groups that support entrepreneurs. If you're familiar with the SBTDC, they receive funding from the MEDC to do that support for the state. TechTown, you receive some funding from the MEDC to support organizations in the Detroit area. Lots of other entities, even Bizdome, we have some funds that went to them recently. So we provide that support, really trying to build up the entrepreneurial infrastructure and support services that are out there for entrepreneurs. The third area we work with are universities. I see Dennis is back here from Wayne State. And so we have a number of programs that we've launched really geared for helping to spin out technologies from universities that can then create next generation technology companies and create some really high potential companies for the state. So we work with all of our tech transfer agencies around the state at our universities, and we've got programs to support those efforts, as well as the business engagement centers at universities. So the fourth area we work on, there's an area that we assist in building clusters in the state, and so we've got a program called the Centers of Innovation Program. It's a new program. It's really designed to take really high potential projects for the state and providing them some funding to get them going and help commercialize the technology, generally matching federal funds or other types of funds. So I hit 4 numbers. I should probably wrote this down. Fifth area, so we covered on early stage capital, entrepreneurial support, universities, clusters. You guys have any ideas?
Miscellaneous.
What's that?
Miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous?
D-NewTech meetups.
No, it's not, it doesn't ring a bell.
I think there's an app for this.
Yeah, it should be. So I'll think about it. Let me go into some programs that I think would be relevant for the audience. I think when I meet with companies, generally, it's the capital programs are generally the ones that are most interesting. So I'll talk about some of those and some of the programs that I used. Even before I worked at MEDC, I worked in a number of startup companies and got to know the programs from the MEDC very well from the outside, which is what actually kind of brought me there to the MEDC. So, from an early stage capital perspective, if you're starting a company and looking for resources that can help you build that company, some of the places I like to fund companies. First of all, the SBTDC. If you haven't worked with them, they've got a great team focused on working with technology companies in particular. They have offices all around the entire state, and they can help you from anything from putting together a business plan, putting together pitches, applying for federal grants, pitching to venture capitalists, putting you in touch with potential investors, and have a really, really good team on the technology side. So I certainly advise you to connect with them. Other resources that are out there, we fund incubators and that's the fifth one. Business incubators and accelerators. We have funding that every year we invest in our various incubators and accelerators on the state in programs that they administer with using state dollars. So TechTown, Hanover Spark, Automation Alley, Macomb, OU Inc. All of these entities, actually across the entire state, we've invested in, take advantage of those resources that are there. They're really meant to help accelerate companies. If you have issues with any of them, let me know, because I'd like to hear it too. But those are resources that are out there. On the funding side, where I like to point companies are, first of all, I think at the very earliest stages, the program that helps a lot of companies is the Michigan Pre-Seed Fund. Are you familiar with the Michigan Pre-Seed Fund? So it's basically a program where you can apply for funds up to $250,000, but you have to have an equivalent investment obtained from other sources. So it's matching private sources of capital. Generally, that's angel investment. A lot of our investment programs are structured that way because working for the state, we always get put into the, okay, you're picking winners and losers. Why didn't you pick my company and why did you pick this company? So one of the ways that we help to get around that is by saying, we'll invest in a company, and we have programs that will invest in a company if somebody else is coming in at the beginning. So more and more our programs are structured that way. So the Michigan Pre-Seed Fund is an example of a program that can help at companies at very early stages. They also have a loan component for even earlier stage companies. If you're not ready to bring on investment and you're trying to get to a milestone, maybe a technical milestone, they can provide up to $50,000 as a loan, microloan, to a company to help them get started. So if you're really early stage, that's a good source of capital. Now I would say that it's not automatic. They have a pretty stringent review process. They have a volunteer board of venture capitalists that review every proposal. So you're having real investment expertise take a look at it. And that's difficult, but I'd encourage you to, one of the good things is get the help from the organizations that are out there. If you do apply for this funding, get support from the SBTDC, from your local incubator or accelerator. They should be able to help you craft your proposal and should be able to steer you in the right direction. Taking a step beyond that, we've got a couple of other, keep going over the side. All right. Got a couple of other programs that I think are helpful. If you're in the space for, it might not be such an opportunity for software development, but for more physical sciences, we have programs that provide funding to companies that are going after federal research grants. So SBIRs, if you're familiar with them. Every federal agency puts aside a certain portion of their budget, 2% of their budget, to support small businesses with research and development grants. And so generally those grants are only for R&D activities. What the state has is matching funds that provide up to $25,000 to a phase 1 SBIR recipient and up to $125,000 for a phase 2 SBIR recipient. It's a grant. So it's the only program we have that's really providing a grant to a company. Non-dilutive, pure, straight grant dollars. And it always amazes me that there are companies that are here in Michigan that apply for SBIRs, get the award, and then don't realize they've got matching funds from the state. And it's just a check that we write out to companies. Pretty easy to get as long as you get the federal grant. So that's the program. And then a couple of other programs we have. If you're raising venture capital, this is a new program that we have. And this is a program that's administered directly by the MEDC. Most of our programs are administered by partners, but this one's administered directly by us. We have a venture capital matching fund. And it's really designed so that any company that's raising venture capital in Michigan, if you're securing anywhere from about $700,000 to $3 million in that range, we'll come in with an automatic investment as long as there's a venture capitalist in the deal. Again, we're investing alongside a qualified venture capital fund, a qualified investor, and we'll invest up to $500,000 in the company. So it's a new program that we started just in April of this year. We have about 5 companies in the pipeline. I mean, the number of companies that get venture capital in Michigan are anywhere from 30 to 50 companies all throughout the entire state, so it's not that many. But it's a sizable amount. It's $500,000 as long as you have an equivalent amount of investment from a venture capital firm. You have a question about that?
Yeah, qualification of venture capitalist manage.
Yeah, it's all on a website at MichiganAdvantage.org.
Venture capitalist external to the state?
It can be. So there are some requirements. We have, first of all, I think there has to be at least, I'm not sure if it's 3 LPs or 5 LPs. It's one of those. Because what we don't do is, some family foundations are, becoming more, family funds are becoming more and more like venture capital funds, but they're not really as structured the way a venture capital fund is. So there is a requirement that a venture capital fund has to have a certain amount of money under management. I don't have that exact figure. I think maybe it's at least 10 million. I'm not sure. They've got a certain amount of limited partners that have invested into the fund. I think that's 3 or 5. They're members of either the National Venture Capital Association or the Michigan Venture Capital Association, which is pretty easy to get membership to. So there are some criteria for the venture firm. What we do, what the program does is we don't say that you have to get all the money from a venture capital firm. If you get part of your investment from a venture capital fund and some other investment from angel investors or family funds or others, we'll still match. But I think we only match the venture capital fund portion. All of that is spelled out on our website. There's a really specific, lots of details on that. So that's another program we just launched. We're really, really excited about that program. And basically what that's saying is, we believe so much in the tech startups in Michigan that are raising venture capital that the state will invest quite alongside. And we think it's a good generator for returns. And when we achieve those returns, what we do is we invest in more companies. So that's the goal. So when we do have programs that, either lending programs or direct investment programs, the goal is to get some of that money back so that we can help additional companies. One other program I wanted to tell you about, and this is the last one I'll talk about, is a new program that we launched about a year ago, and it's called the Business Accelerator Fund. It's a great program. Basically, in a nutshell, it provides any tech company in the state up to $50,000. Small amount, but can help. Up to $50,000 to really help them get to a next kind of milestone in the company's growth. So, and the way it's structured is, it's not a direct, we're not giving a check to the company, we're not giving money direct to the company. What we're basically doing is giving them a checkbook that'll fund services. So if you need to hire a consultant, if you need to build a prototype, if you need to hire a university to help you do something, if you need to do some really in-depth market research on a new product, if you need to file a patent. All of these things, all of these types of things where you need some professional services as a company, then you're eligible to receive up to $50,000 that you can then pay a service provider and an expert service provider. And we fund directly to that service provider. So it's a really good program. It's based on some of the things that Ann Arbor Spark does for companies located in Ann Arbor. They can give companies up to $50,000. And we looked at that and thought, well, boy, it would be nice if we could do that all around the state. Ann Arbor shouldn't be the only part of the state that has that resource. And so we basically modeled what they did and expanded it all across the state. So any company can receive it as long as you're a technology-based business. If you want to be considered for that Business Accelerator Fund, it's run by the SBTDC. And all you have to do is meet with your local, we call them smart zones, and those are basically incubators. And so from around here, it would be Tech Town, Next Energy, Ann Arbor Spark, Automation Alley, OU Inc., call them, any of them, and they should be able to guide you through the process. And they essentially have to sponsor a company's application, similar to what happens with the Michigan Precinct. So I gave you a lot of information. You know, really what's, if you're interested in any of it, just go to michiganadvantage.org. There's a link out there that says, there's a link there that says Entrepreneurs and Innovators. And if you click on that, you'll see information about all these programs that I've talked about. If you'd like to reach out to me afterward for any reason, you can reach me at martin@michigan.org. Pretty easy. I'd be happy to chat with you. So those are the programs I wanted to talk to you about, and thanks for having me tonight.
Martin, one of the things you didn't cover is MEDC have any connection to any of these statewide competitions such as GLEQ and Accelerate Michigan?
Yes,
I think that was number 5 that you forgot.
That's that's part of our entrepreneurial service providers category, and so both of those competitions are things that we fund, and we fund them by both Great Lakes Entrepreneurs West and Accelerate Michigan. And Accelerate Michigan is coming up. Hopefully, we've got some companies here that maybe have applied or some summer finalists, but it's a great resource. You can receive up to a $500,000 award for the top prize. So pretty significant. Any other questions? Yeah.
Surprised nobody's got any questions. All right, cool. So I'm super familiar with everything that MEDC does. How do you want your feedback? You want me to email you the bad stuff? Or do you mind if I air some of it publicly? Or
You know, it's probably best to keep it between you and me.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, so okay, so I'll email you. But yeah, so a question about the matching VC investments program. Yeah, I had heard about that probably like in March or April this year.
Yeah.
I started to hear about it. So has anyone actually gotten it?
Yeah. Well, so we have about 5 companies in the pipeline. We just, I don't know if we've announced it yet, but we've done one.
Okay.
So and then there's, so it's pretty, you know, you have to have a signed term sheet in order to apply.
Right.
You have to have a term sheet from a VC. So, and then there's a lot of information required once you.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering if it was a really slow pipeline.
Slow in terms of the state processing.
Timeline-wise, yeah. I mean, if there still haven't closed one, it's October. I don't know. It just seems like.
Yeah, you know, from our perspective, I will tell you that. Well, first of all, there's a learning curve on any new program. What we have on the program is there's guidelines in there that say it can take up to 90 days. So I think in all the applications we have, we've been within that. And but it'll get a lot faster as our lawyers get used to it, as you know, the agreements. One of the challenges that we've had with the program is not getting the right information from the applicants. And so what may seem like a slow process from the MDC's perspective or us managing the program, really a lot of times it's us waiting for, you know, get us this material. And that's a challenge. And not only do we have to kind of validate the company, but also make sure that this is a real venture capital firm in the deal as well. And as those venture capital firms get in the pipeline and do it more, that part will get a lot easier. One of the things I will mention about the program is one of the requirements a lot of programs we have is we're required by statute to do an independent peer review of every proposal that we receive under 21st Century Jobs Law. So we have to hire an outside organization to basically do a review of the application, and that takes, you know, it takes a couple weeks. So,
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I just want to add on to that about the GLQ competition that's coming up. So October 15th is the due date. I just got an email today from Michelle Sabaski, who's saying that anyone who's got any ideas, who wants to apply, and needs help, she's one of the coordinators. Please register. If you guys have, I know there's a lot of people from here that have registered in the past. Just, you know, it's a great opportunity to get some funding.
Yes. Question in the types of business you're going for. Is it purely software tech, or is it you know, smaller tech firms with 4 or 5 employees? What's the scope of what you're looking at?
you know, the programs that we have, generally support any kind of technology business. Now, when we're working with our regional partners, a lot of those partners, because the types of companies they're working with are generally either, fit into certain areas. I mean, we go out Kalamazoo, there's more life sciences in Grand Rapids, and Ann Arbor has a mix of software and life sciences. So, but from our perspective, all of our programs are designed for any tech-based company.
Just to give you an example of some of the kinds of things that MEDC supports, if you look at my company, Martin talked about SBTDC. They've been supporting me for 2 years. Michigan Pre-Seed Microloan, I've received that. Business Accelerator Fund, I've received that. GLEQ, I've done that. Accelerate Michigan, I'm the only 2-time award winner in the history of the program. I'm a semifinalist again for the 3rd year. So I can truthfully say that everything that I've done, MEDC's fingerprints have been all over. And the support that I've gotten has just been phenomenal. $5. No, but it's true. I'll tell everyone, I'm interested in hearing some of your experiences later. Sure. But the experiences that I've had across the state, I was at Tech Town with Ton, I'm now out in Grand Rapids, it's been universally phenomenal. So if you haven't gotten the right kind of resources, don't give up on them. Find another person like a Mark and say, hey, this is what's happened to me. Because I'm here to say I would not exist if not for the support of MEDC.
That's very cool to hear, and I would definitely like to follow up with you.
Yeah, and I'm a technology-based company. I'm alternative energy, which I won't go into now, but so I'm not software.
So, yeah, I mean, Milton's done a great job of taking advantage of state programs, and a lot of those programs, like I said, a lot of our programs are run through partners, so people don't even realize that that MEDC is involved. Generally, we provide money, and then our partners execute the programs. Sometimes they don't credit us at all for that, and that's the challenge that we have. But we try to work together, and so if you do have feedback about any programs that you work with or things that haven't worked right, because we provide funding to these organizations, and then we want to hear about it, that's for sure. Yeah.
Could you give your key software development partners, a list of them somewhere?
Software development partners as far as...
if you have an idea in software, those are the people you need to go before you hit you, because you got the money.
Well, I mean, I think the best resource is again, I don't have the money, generally, except for that venture matching program, which is really the only program that we give money directly to companies. Most of our programs are run by partners, so you want to get out there and meet with the partners and know them. And the place that I point companies to first is the SBTDC, because it doesn't cost you anything. But it's important to not just walk into any SBTDC office. If you're a tech company, make sure you're working with their tech team, because they all of them have worked in tech businesses. They've been in startups. They've done some great things. They're really, really experienced people. So that's where I would point companies to first.
Any other questions?
Could you just quickly go over what the GLEQ competition is? I'm not familiar with that.
GLEQ is the Great Lakes Entrepreneurs Quest. And so it's, we have 2 business plan competitions in Michigan. The Great Lakes Entrepreneurs Quest, which has been around for a long time, I think over 10 years. And then Accelerate Michigan Innovation Competition. GLEQ is, I would say, more of a kind of a grassroots type efforts with it engages, it kind of gets entrepreneurs in the process over the entire year. I think they have a couple of different funding cycles. I think their top award under GLEQ is $100,000, the Smart Zone Award, right? But they also, what GLEQ does a great job with is kind of doing a lot of educational efforts for entrepreneurs and getting them started and teaming them up with mentors and things like that. Accelerate Michigan Innovation Competition is a pure business plan competition. So it is bringing kind of all the best companies in the state together and putting them in competition for a major award of $500,000. And you've got out-of-state venture capitalists that come into town for that, and some really high-profile people that are judging that competition. So when you get in that competition in Accelerate Michigan, you're not getting it only just getting in front of a Michigan audience, but you're exposing yourself to some national funders as well.
as Tom said, the GLEQ deadline is coming up in October. They have a January competition, reaches a final conclusion, and the same thing again in June, which is the bigger end of the season.
And Accelerate Michigan, all the deadlines I think are passed, but
Yes.
you know, go to the event because it's a really good event. So it's November 13th through the 15th. It's a
Here in
really
Detroit this year.
nice event.
Yeah.
What are the award differences between GLEQ and Accelerate?
Accelerate.
And how much is GLE?
The top award in GLEQ is $100,000, but most of the awards, they've got other awards that they provide, and they're a lot smaller, anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000, I think.
Accelerate Michigan, first place is $500K, second is $150. Then there are 9 individual sectors that you can compete in. If you win your sector, you get $25,000.
Second place is State Nest, third place is you get to
Accelerate Michigan gives out over $1 million in prizes, which is one of the largest business plan competitions, if not the largest in the United States.
Any other questions? Great. Martin, thank you very much. Okay, who's first? We are going to have Sean come up first. So while we're pulling up the presentation, Sean is a Michigan person, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from Western Michigan. Worked at a telecom, video entertainment startup, and he's gotten involved with his startup, which he'll come up and talk about in a second. He wants to revolutionize electronic payments. And he's trying to find a way to merge technology that empowers individuals, economics, and entrepreneurship. So Sean, you've got 5 minutes.
Go back one. I'm gonna let you drive this, man. My clicker doesn't work, man, so you're gonna have to drive this yourself. Thanks.
4 minutes, 27 seconds. We're tough here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Sean Lavine. I'm the founder of it's a Bitcoin exchange. It's a marketplace where users can come and buy and sell Bitcoins. Bitcoin, just talking about Bitcoin itself for now, Bitcoin is a digital decentralized currency. It uses a global peer-to-peer network which runs on top of the internet. And this network, it creates a public ledger of transactions using public key cryptography. And this is the real innovation in Bitcoin, is this public ledger of transactions. It solves the so-called double spending problem, which this prevents users from arbitrarily creating new coins, and it prevents them from spending coins that they already spent. So thinking of Bitcoin in terms of money, some of the properties of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it's a means of exchange, it's a unit of account, it's extremely portable since it's all digital, it's all electronic, so you can pretty much use it on any computer platform, a smartphone, any web-based platform. Bitcoins, they're scarce. 21 million is the maximum that can ever be created. About half of those have been created so far. And so this is kind of an artificial scarcity. It's just a rule built into the Bitcoin network. Bitcoin is extremely divisible. We traditionally think of money as being divisible to 2 decimal points. Bitcoin is divisible to 80. So thinking about the smallest unit of Bitcoin, you could have 2.1 quadrillion of it. Another interesting thing about Bitcoin is Bitcoin transactions are irreversible. So if someone was to send me Bitcoins, you don't have the problem of chargebacks like you would with a credit card. Once the network receives that transaction and it's confirmed by the network, put into that public ledger of transactions, it's irreversible. Just give you a head nod. So Bitcoin has a lot of potential uses. Any kind of economic exchange of value you can use it for. Just one interesting thing is I can see a huge opportunity in online games or virtual worlds. So you might be familiar with Second Life, and this is really well known for having a vibrant digital economy where you can buy digital goods and services using the in-game currency called Linden dollars. Well, you can imagine a similar system for other games where you can use Bitcoin within the game. So Bitcoin growth from 2011 to now, the Bitcoin network, the collective computing power of the Bitcoin network has grown from 81 petaflops to 276. So it's more than tripled. And the fastest supercomputer is 2.6 petaflops. So the collective network is about 100 times more powerful than that. And looking at the current largest Bitcoin exchange, over the past 6 months, they've averaged $12.5 million worth of transactions per month. And that's a 25% increase over the previous 6 months. Some other interesting facts is BitPay, which is a payment processor for Bitcoin. They've recently announced that they have reached over 1,000 merchants as their customers, accepting Bitcoins for payments. And also the well-known Y Combinator, they recently funded Coinbase, which is a startup, and they're trying to become the PayPal of Bitcoin. So Bitme it's a marketplace for users who come and buy this digital decentralized currency, Bitcoin. You have different users. You have consumers, merchants, payment processors, and you have speculators. So you need to provide a powerful but simple interface for all of these different users. And so I like to call this the Google approach, since I think they do a really good job of this. The UIs are simple but powerful. So how Bitme generates revenue is we match buyers and sellers together, and then we take a transaction. All right, so we're looking for an initial investment of 8,000 Bitcoins, which is $100,000. And this is primarily going to be used to invest in legal costs, security improvements, and improving the user friendliness. All right, well, I'm glad I'm taking the questions.
Good.
Yes.
Someone told me about Bitcoin 9 months or a year ago, and so I'm a technologist, I'm an early adopter, so I went and downloaded the thing on my Windows, and I poked around with it on my computer, and I poked around for a while. But I found the concept kind of confusing, the documentation poorly written, and is the Bitcoin community, and so I ended up not using it, not doing anything with it. Is the community looking to improve that and make it more user-friendly?
Yeah, how long ago was it?
This might have been 12 months ago.
Okay, yeah, so Bitcoin is a new technology, so it's only been around since 2009, and I think they've actually completely rewritten the client software that you're talking about with a completely new GUI framework. So it has improved, it's improving. Recently there's been a Bitcoin Foundation established. It's a nonprofit, and it's going to start paying developers, and that's really going to push that forward.
How much is one Bitcoin worth?
Currently about $12.5. So the Bitcoin network is pretty new, so it's pretty volatile, so it changes around, which is what you would expect with something new like this.
How is this different from like Facebook credits or the same?
Well, Facebook credits,
Same thing,
well, I'm not sure. I know they recently got rid of Facebook credits, and as far as I understand, this is it's something that Facebook controls. So this is a virtual currency, so it's similar in that fashion, but this is completely decentralized. You don't have any one organization controlling it. Scott?
Yeah, two-part question. First one, what's your differentiator from other Bitcoin exchanges? And then the second one is, how do you address money laundering concerns?
Yeah, that's the primary concern. Any kind of business that's going to be essentially money focused is going to have to deal with these type of regulations. So that's what I'm looking for the 8,000 Bitcoins for, is primarily investing in that. So what we're looking to do is we want to have, right now our simple motto is simple, transparent, and secure. So also what I want to do in addition to the legal cost with this investment is improve the security. So right now you use one key to control and be able to spend Bitcoins. So there's something called multi-signature keys, or MMN. So you would need to use at least 2 or more keys to control the Bitcoins. So this would greatly improve the security, but also instead of having instant withdrawals of Bitcoins from the system, you'd batch them maybe daily or twice with some sort of human intervention in there. Yes.
Are the Bitcoin platform, is it susceptible to inflation, or is it tied to the value of the dollar?
It's not tied to the value of the dollar. The value fluctuates. It's all market-based, based on buyers and sellers. So how the Bitcoin model works is, like I said, 21 million is the maximum that can ever be created. We're about 50% there. And so it gradually, over time, it gradually increases. So I think it's actually over a 50-year period. And I think it's every 4 years or so, the number of Bitcoins that are being generated are halved. And so once it reaches that maximum 21 million, that's it. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your team
It's just me.
and your experience.
I've primarily been a web developer, an application developer. So that's something I've done probably since I was 16, computer science graduate. So I'm primarily focused on web technologies. Yes.
Why is there a cap at 21 million coins?
It's kind of an arbitrary rule that was built into the network. And since Bitcoin it's completely decentralized and it's open source software, you've actually seen people creating forks of the code with different types of properties like that. Yes.
So thanks for the great overview. Like, I've been curious about Bitcoin for a while, and like, it just seems so confusing, and you laid it out really well. Like, I appreciate that. Thank you. So you mentioned possible use cases like in virtual worlds and whatnot. Are you're probably familiar with Entropia Universe?
Yeah, I played that.
Okay, cool.
8 years ago.
Yeah, so I'm super familiar with that too, and everything in Universe has a dollar value, but like from talking to the founders and everything, it's got good and bad things about it. Like, they cannot grow exponentially because they kind of have to grow as demand dictates. They can't just generate a bunch of stuff and have massive deflation. So what happens in the Bitcoin universe if you were to scale this really fast? Do individual Bitcoins just become worth more per US dollar?
Yes.
Okay, so
once you reach that maximum, then that's what you would expect. In theory, it would increase.
all right, so you could potentially have speculated, like you mentioned, buying these, like they'd be buying gold, thinking, well, I'm buying at $12.50 per Bitcoin now, but it could be $20 next year.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, we're out of time. Sean, thank you very much. Next up will be Jim Vitek. Before launching into this particular stage of his life, Jim was the VP of e-commerce development for Domino's Pizza. Did you make real pizzas or virtual pizzas? Don't answer that question, it's okay.
I sold a lot of pizza.
Okay. Jim built the team and the technology behind Domino's.com and the Pizza Tracker. A little bit about the company. AppKey, which he's going to talk about, is the first to combine hyper-local potential of home screen advertising with the user incentive of free apps content. About 500 million Android users. Now let him tell you about all the rest of it. So take it away.
Great, thank you. So it's a great introduction. I'll kick right into it here. So every good business needs a problem that it solves. So Android developers, as we mentioned, there are 500 million Android devices on this planet. There are 1.3 million shipping every day. It's a huge market. Apps are a big part of why these phones are so popular, but the app developers who create these apps aren't making much money. So why is that? There's a lot of reasons. One is, everybody knows you download the free version of the app, and then how many download the 99-cent version? I mean, it's only $1, all right? but only about 1% of the users that download the free version download the paid version. And multiple reasons for that, besides just being cheap. Payment setup is optional. Some people don't have a credit card that file. That raises the bar a little bit. Piracy is rampant on Android. Google started clamping down on that. And one of the other big problems is if you can't sell it, you can throw ads in it, right? But the ads kind of suck. All right. And so why do they suck? So if you look at ads in apps today, you know, they're in the app. So this is a screenshot off of my phone. You can see I actually shot the bird through the ad. They stick it in an annoying spot. Here's the free app, and you know it's got the ad at the bottom of it. But think about what is the user doing when they actually see this ad, and where are they? Okay, many times you're at home, or you're waiting, or you're getting ready to go to sleep, or you're in the bathroom, or something like that. So a lot of these ads that are in apps are poorly timed and targeted, and that means poor ROI for the advertisers. And because of that, a lot of the ads that you see in apps are actually for other apps, okay? Most ads are for other apps, not real stuff. And the ads for real stuff are, in many cases, just virtual goods that don't have a whole lot of real-world value. So if the advertisers get poor ROI out of it, the developers aren't going to make very much. So how do we fix this? Well, Android offers a unique opportunity. So Android has a home screen that you traverse whenever you do different things on the phone. So when you send a text, make a call, use the internet, you know, an email, or even use an app, every time you do that, you go through this home screen. It's very frequently seen, kind of like a home page in a browser. And so if you were to go through and enable advertising on this screen, you could fix mobile advertising. And so that's the app key concept. If we move advertising on an opt-in basis the home screen, it can be more effective. This is a real ad I saw on State Street for La Marzo, which is a restaurant right there. And as we can see, it's 0.1 blocks away. I actually just looked at my phone a few moments ago. There's an ad on here for Foxtown Grill, 3 blocks away. It just automatically shows up. I don't even know where it is, but I can save money there. And so why would people opt into this? Well, apps are the incentive to opt in. Now we're going back to developers. So if a user decides to, you know, try the free version of app, upgrade it for 99 cents, great. Get the full premium version of the app. Or the user can install AppKey and get it for free. Okay? So the way this works is AppKey collects the money from these more effective ads, and we distribute it to developers who earn installs of AppKey and a residual based on usage of their apps. We have a patent pending approach on how to go through and distribute revenue on the platform that we've built. The team right now is 2 of us. There's actually a third whose picture isn't up here yet, doing business development. I got a short intro, but so in short, I'm an MBA. I do the Android development. I've built teams before. Kyle is building the platform. He worked for Amazon.com for a while. He's a very good developer. And so our status is we have a beta live in Google Play right now. We have an app live. We're working to get 4 more live right now, working with developers. We have agreements for ad inventory from several major sources. We found that mobile ad inventory kind of sucked, so we went out and we found companies that sell local advertising, and we use them for inventory. And so why am I here presenting? Well, if any of you have an Android phone, download AppKey. Try it, use it, send me some feedback. I'd love to hear it as a user. Also, if you are an Android developer, if you have an app or you know people who do, I'd love to talk to them because most of them aren't making much money off their apps, and I think we have a great solution for that.
Yeah, how does this work with like the premium apps? Don't really necessarily have a
Yeah, so, well, freemium kind of by definition is a free and a premium version. There's 2 different ones. But if a developer only has one version of it, they can choose to use AppKey. So they could have it, tripleware is kind of a derogatory term from years past. So they could launch it And then maybe there's a few features in place, but if you have AppKey running, you get more robust features. Maybe that's the only way to unlock those current features. Okay. Yes?
Yeah, if I just installed the AppKey beta from the Play Store, and should it auto add this widget, or should I have to manually add it?
You have to manually add it. You have Android, you know how some apps will pop an icon on your home screen and so on. The Android security model does not allow me to programmatically put a widget on the home screen.
What if it's bundled with another app?
It still cannot auto-install. It can auto-install on the phone, it cannot auto-place on the home screen. So you're using a beta version. I have a new version of the SDK almost launched that actually has a wizard type approach, because a lot of users don't know how to get a wizard on the home screen. So we're going to have helpful videos and stuff like that. Love your feedback on that. Yes?
The amount you pay each developer for app key transfer,
Yes.
how close is that to the amount that we get from the purchase app percentage?
Well, so if it's a 99-cent app, the carrier, Google keeps about 5%, the carrier keeps about 25%, so the developer gets 70 cents. But then only 1% of the users are actually upgrading for that. So per download, maybe they're making 0.7 cents today. And so what we're doing is we're giving a nickel install incentive for US users, and then there's the residual. So we actually take half of the gross revenue that comes in and distribute it based on usage of those apps.
Follow-up to that, how does that apply to apps that are beyond the 99 cents?
It's up to the developer. So one of the developers we have in the pipeline right now has a puzzle application, and they have in-app purchases for $4.99 for extra puzzle packs. And so they're just going to create a virtual, package that AppKey users will get for free. And so it may not be the full $4.99, maybe it'll be about half of that. But it's whatever the developer does, because it's all virtual. There's no variable cost there.
Is it still a nickel per transfer, or is that grow exponentially as a
It's a nickel per install. And then it's residual based on the revenue that that user earns. So if you have a game targeted at 5-year-old kids, they're probably not going to spend much of anything. You're probably not going to earn much on a residual. But if you have an app which is a stock market application, and the person using it buys a number of things, local deals like we have here, the developers of those apps would earn a disproportionately large amount, and they would earn it. Yes?
You only get that paid version one time, you download it, and then I downloaded it once, it's on my device, I got a free paid version, and now next week there's a new paid version I want.
Yeah.
AppKey, it's a one-time.
So what the developer does is we have an SDK, it's on the website. The developer downloads it, they integrate it in their app. Every time that app ever launches, it checks to see if AppKey is running. And so you can have the fully functional version. You delete AppKey, drag it to the trash, now it starts asking for money again. It's automatic.
Is the SDK available for any app developers, or is that something they push?
No, it's online right now. You can go download it. New version coming in about a week. Yes, Spec.
My question is, what town are you located in? And are you affiliated with the business incubator like Spark or TechTown?
I am in Ann Arbor. I live in Ann Arbor, and I actually work out of the Tech Brewery. I have taken some MEDC money, thank you very much, in the form of a business accelerator engagement for somebody who's putting together some documents for me.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can you mention a little bit more about the ads that are shown? Are you running ads from restaurants that already advertise in Groupon and Yelp and so on?
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually working with Yelp and working with Groupon, and they end up paying me if I drive a sale their way. Okay. So, for instance, this ad that I just saw for Foxtown Grill. This is $10 of value for $4. AppKey earns $1.20 off of that. And it's 3 blocks away.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. slowly, don't move too fast, slowly walk on out. And that way we'll get the timer ready here for the presentation. Okay, move a little bit faster. So Bill and Becky are going to give a presentation about Access Story. The company is relatively new, it just started this year, but between the two of them, they have about 50 years of experience in genealogy and family history. And there isn't very much interest in their business around the world, not at all. They already have clients in Australia, Germany, Afghanistan, Ireland, British Columbia, and 12 of the 50 United States. So they're growing like wildfire. So if we are ready, okay, go ahead, take it away.
Hello, I'm Bill O'Reilly, and since we're talking about ancestry here, I am not related to Bill O'Reilly of Fox TV, and I'm proud to say that. Look forward to John Stewart kicking his butt on Saturday night in the debate there. And unfortunately, I'm also not related to the folks from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Wish I was part of that. Well, we'll have to do. As Milton indicated, between the two of us, it's not an exaggeration. We have 50 years of experience in genealogy and family history. And after a lot of thought about it, about a year ago, we started thinking serious about it. And about 6 months ago, we actually opened the doors of Ancestry with the idea that we tell the story behind your ancestors. Now, one thing that may be a little different from the other presenters here tonight, we're not here to seek funding. We're actually doing fine. We're here to get some feedback. And also, I have to admit, it would be terrible if we picked up a client or two. Go to the next slide here. We're just simply going to tell you a little bit about us. First of all, who we are. As I said, we have a lot of experience in this. It's truly a labor of love for us. We've gotten into this full-blown, we're both at it very full-time. We've got a wonderful office set up and going full-blown at it. We've taken our experience and gone in deeper. We've taken some coursework, certification, and so forth to build on that. And then we're looking forward to, in a moment, Becky will tell you a little bit about our services, but it's a full-blown service that we offer. Just about anything that would have to be done with family history or ancestry research, we would be able to help folks with that. And we're indicated around the world. We are internet-based. Virtually, we've had dozens and dozens of clients, and we've only met one client so far. It's all done remotely. They find out about us through various means. We've had some presence on CNET, we've been on WJR, our website, Facebook, and so forth. So they've been reaching out word of mouth. It's really taken off well. Our clients, as we indicated, are around the world. There are a variety of clients. The two groups that they fall into the most are folks who are looking to just really start from scratch. They know virtually nothing, and they want us to build a family tree. And the others are what we call the brick wall. They may have gone back several generations, and they just can't get past so-and-so who left Ireland, and we can help try to break down that wall for them. We also have partners around the world. We've been very lucky, and we've got one person in Prague, Czech Republic. He speaks Czech, Slovak, Russian, Polish, and Latin. He's been able to decipher documents for us and work there on the ground. We've got somebody recently now working in Ireland with us, and other folks who help out on particular projects. I'm going to turn it over to Becky to talk about our services.
Well, our services are tailored to our client's goals, so it could be a full tree or it could be a much narrow agenda. Whatever the focus, most of our research is done online, although we do on-site research as required. When the research is completed, we report back to our clients in various formats. This is one of them. Whatever the format, we also give our clients all the data, all the media files, and all the sources that we've uncovered. In addition to these reports, we help our clients with family union replanning or genealogy projects, publishing family histories, that kind of thing as well.
I do have to point out, I was born right here in Detroit, and my grandfather was the fire chief of Detroit back in the 40s.
Okay, now lost my focus.
Sorry about that. Just want to point out the Detroit roots.
I think I covered our services. We're, like I said, we're less than a year old, but we're growing, and there's been a lot of interest, and we love what we do, and we're proud of what we've created.
itself? I mean, is it just, I mean, to get more clients, or you have to add more people?
Yes, what we are looking, we've done this a couple times with projects where we've got a lot of just input that needs to be done. Clients will give us handwritten notes, they'll email us notes that they have, and they need to be assembled, and our expertise is more the research. So a couple times we've hired folks who know what they're doing. We've worked with them, and they'll just simply sit there doing the data input and so forth. And so we anticipate as we grow, we'll turn over more of that input task to folks that we either hire full-time or on a contractual basis, because like our clients, we're able to do that remotely. We've got people working with us here in Michigan, somebody in Pittsburgh and so forth. So it works out well.
So it's not like an automated person.
Pretty much, yes, but depending on where there's about a dozen different subscriptions that we have, and depending on where it is, a lot of times we can, if we find some treasure trove of information, we can just input it or merge it in, and we don't have to start from scratch. And then the previous screen you saw, Becky mentioned that the reports, it's not uncommon for us to have 20, 25-page reports on your family history, and the software we use fills in the blank. Tom Smith was born in Detroit, Michigan, and his parents were just feeding in the raw data. It generates the narrative, if you will.
It sounds like what you're doing is what I call the begats. So-and-so married so-and-so, begat so-and-so, begat so-and-so, as opposed to family histories.
Oh, no, actually, we look for the story behind the dates and
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we do a lot of researching library collections and looking through diaries, journals, history, newspaper archives, things like that. What we want to do is tell you about your ancestors, not just give you the names and the dates.
Just this afternoon, I was working on a client's project, found his great-grandfather in Philadelphia, and he had told us that his great-grandfather had a sister named Mary that was born in 1882, and she married so-and-so, found that sister, and actually then went backwards and found her husband. This hopefully wasn't a scandal back then, but found the husband, the future husband, as a boarder with her parents at that address. So in other words, if you wonder how they met, oh, he was a boarder in their house. Another same client, we found the great-grandparents lived one block from each other in Philadelphia. They met in the neighborhood there. There's a lot of details behind it. Yes?
Can you contrast what you do compared to Ancestry.com?
Well, they are a search engine. You can search on there. It's a tool that we use. You can search there. You can even create a family tree, but you're pretty limited from there what you can do. They don't collect the facts and turn it around into a story. They don't have, for example, the previous screen you saw the photos and things like that. We, in the reports that we give our clients, we very often take out pieces of information. Here's a census record that shows your great-grandparents. So there's much more detail, there's much more, as we keep saying, more than just facts and figures, and that's what you get at Ancestry.
Be over there.
Yeah, sorry.
How do you guys charge for services?
We charge depending on what you have us do. Our research hours are $33 an hour, but we have blocks of hours that give it to a reduced rate. And there's also, if you want just, if as I said, you can either have a block of hours and we do the research, or we create a family tree, in which case you can buy different packages. We have 3 basic packages. Each one gives you more hours. And depending on whether you want us to just send you the reports electronically, or we create them for you, print them out, and send them to you in a nice picture. Thanks. Here,
Have you ever?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think your name is rock solid. I love your tagline, but I think your category is kind of missing. I think there are a lot of services where you can go off and research your own. You guys are really a family tree concierge service. You'll go build it for someone else. And I think that needs to be part of your brand presentation.
Thank you. That's exactly the type of feedback we're looking for. Yes, sir, in fact.
My question is, have you all explored book deals where people write books about researching their family history, and then your software, your website kind of be sitting like right there at the end of the book, saying if you want to research your own family history, then code to end story?
We give them some, depending on the clients, we were just somebody who was dealing with yesterday, we've given them their full report, and they were looking for some additional things, where could they find it? So there are some free sites and so forth that we were able to direct them to and continue on their own research. Is that, I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
Well, what I was asking was, have you considered bundling your service
Oh,
with books?
Oh, yes, actually, that's Becky's specialty, beyond family history, she's a graphic artist, and so that's one of the services we offer is creating actual books for it, and with that you could go online, like Shutterfly, for example.
Yeah, My Canvas, MPix, any of those.
But the bulk of our requests are for the actual services, the research, and the reports that come from that. But we're looking to, we'll give it to them any which way they want. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Telling me I have Michael Frye coming up next. A little bit of background as Michael comes on up. You know Spanish, a little bit of German, some Mandarin. In his spare time, he practices Shotokan karate, which he's been studying for about a year and a half. We were exchanging emails back and forth. My daughter and I had done some Ishinru karate, so he started one of the masters out in Los Angeles. Recently secured a partnership working with a graduate from the MIT Comparative Media Studies program. So hopefully weave that in a little bit. That person specializes in the gamification of language learning programs. So Michael, go ahead and talk to us about Savvy.
Thank you. So my name is Michael Frye. I'm a co-founder of Savvy Languages. So Savvy was developed from our own frustrations with language learning programs. The problem with current language learning programs is that they have rigid lesson plans where you're forced to learn stuff that may not apply to your life, stuff that you may not be interested in. They're oftentimes boring, expensive, and generally ineffective. The real spark came for me when I was living in Los Angeles, and I met a guy named Gustavo. Gustavo was from Guatemala, and the guy was a professional in his country. He had a master's degree in accounting, and had worked as a VP at a bank down there. Moved to America knowing zero English, and the best he could do for a job here was a valet. Just could not find a job anywhere. So I was like, there's got to be a better way to be teaching languages. It's just more affordable, effective. So at that point, the mission became to create a program that used cutting-edge technology, high production quality media, make it fun, entertaining, more affordable, widely accessible, and just most importantly effective, so that you're actually just really learning the stuff that is taught to you. So Savvy is a browser-based web application using the latest web technologies. This is our current website, and we have a rough beta we're working on right now that's just about together. So yeah, it's using the latest web technologies to create a truly immersive experience. This is an example of what we're thinking, just a full screen view to really simulate real life as much as possible. It's got full Facebook integration, so it actually pulls in the user's profile picture and their name, so that as you progress through the program, it feels like you're actually in the thing. So this is an example of a dialogue where it's actually kind of modeled off like an iPhone, where it's kind of going back and forth. And it's just to really make it like fun and interesting. Just make it like real life, just immersed into the program. So as to some of the technologies that we're using, we have like the most advanced speech recognition software on the market. It's years ahead of current competition and will give us a significant competitive edge. So this is an example of making it fun and entertaining. The entire program is designed as a game. So as you progress through the program, you get points, you unlock achievements, different items, you level up. So the whole thing is fun, and it's just a big game to make the whole educational process fun. The back end of the program is designed as an intelligent infrastructure. So each of these lessons are modules, and we can organize these modules into custom playlists depending on the learner's needs and demographics. So we can truly create a custom lesson plan based on your specific needs, which does not exist anywhere as far as current language programs. Go to the next screen. So here's another example of a template that we're thinking about using
It's kind of replicating augmented reality. We call it augmented photo. And it's supposed to really be like a digital version of augmented reality. We can hover over different things and kind of explore different topics. So this is level 1 of what we're looking at as far as augmented reality to learn. The next level that we'd be incorporating is full 360 capabilities. We'd be able to look around a given scene in kind of a similar fashion. We would click on different stuff and explore a different scene. And using the latest technologies, both Flash and HTML5, so it'd be accessible on both an iPad, mobile device, etc. And then this is the latest technology, which is full 360 video. So incorporating advanced speech recognition, Facebook integrations, gamification concepts, and a full 360 video, so which is really the ultimate immersive feel, to really feel like you're actually there. I mean, it's hard to, for a program like Rosetta Stone or anything, you come close to what we have. So the coolest thing about our program is how much does it cost? The program is free. It doesn't cost anything. So really that's the greatest innovation about this, is that we created the most technologically advanced program, make it fun, effective, and the program is free. It doesn't cost anything for users. So how we make it free? We're using the freemium model, where the core version is free, and then we have certain aspects of it that are premium. But all of these aspects, all this advanced technology will be free for the general audience. So that's really the core concept of what we got, that we're putting together. The current team consists of myself, our CTO Terry, Sean, our CFO, Hannah, our curriculum director. So this is
big man.
You have an app?
Q&A.
Sure.
I had the pleasure of seeing this in Ann Arbor, and I didn't get a chance to ask you, in this particular application, what would you do? Stop somewhere and point at something and identify it?
We can create just very custom lesson applications. Really comes down to how creative can you get. But we can pretty much do custom overlays over this thing. So it's pretty much like the augmented photo section. We have like hotspots you can hover over and click on different things and just interact with it in different ways. And then incorporate the speech recognition into this. It's the ultimate into the immersive feel. Sure.
How high resolution is this 360 environment?
Actually, this company that's providing the stuff for us, this is a company called Immersive Media, and we have a deal with them to license their media. They're actually the originators of Google Street View. They actually invented this stuff for Google, and Google actually took the technology and ran with it. But they were the originators of this stuff, so it's the most advanced as far as 360. They go all the way up to 1080p. This is a lower resolution, maybe quicker for living. Yes.
Your speech technology, is that something you develop in-house or you're using something?
We're using another company, we're licensing it from them, but it is like the most advanced stuff out there. And it was developed by a famous university. We're willing to go into the details if somebody's interested. But we're like one of the only companies that has access to it. We've been developing the technology for about 10 years, but they recently just kind of revamped their marketing plan. And so they're just getting into kind of more famous, I guess, more mainstream programs. So we'll be one of the only programs like this that will actually have that technology. Sure.
Do you have a budget for stock photos, or is that also licensed?
We're using a mixture of open source technology and open source media. So where possible, we're using full like Wikimedia, iStock photo for different premium stuff. And we're also have equipment to get all the media that we would need. So yeah, it'd be a mixture of just the free stuff that's out there, and for the more unique shots we would need, we have the equipment for that. Yes?
Two-part. Can you describe your team and what amount of capital do you need to go to the next stage?
Yes, our current team is very experienced and very knowledgeable. Myself, I have experience in the entertainment industry. I currently own a web design company as well. I have experience in sales, marketing, manufacturing. Sean has over 25 years of experience in, as a CFO at other companies. Our CTO, Terry, has his PhD in computational linguistics. And Hannah has over 10 years developing curriculum and is a teacher, a language teacher. We have 3 advisors. 2 of them are professors over at U of M, specializing in linguistics, particularly in the cognitive psychology of language acquisition. And then we have a professor over at Oak University, specializing in artificial intelligence. And then actually our partners as well. The partner, as Steve mentioned, from MIT, that specializes in gamification for language learning programs. And we also have a partnership with Parliament Studios based over in Clawson for a media production house to do a lot of the different media we need. More expensive media like video and some of the higher production stuff that we've done. Yes?
Is it only to learn English, or is it other languages in the future? Or
we're starting off with English first because English is approximately 60% of the current language market. So once we get a firm hold on the English market, we develop other languages from there, which we can quickly do. Actually, I'm sorry, your last question too, as to how much we would need to move forward with this. We're looking for $100,000 basically to finish our beta, to have a solid program that will compete directly with Rosetta Stone. We are in full development right now, and we have a rough beta up and going, and really the core foundation of the entire program. We lays the foundations for mobile development as well. The first version will be a desktop version, and available on iPad. And then we'll have a separate app available for mobile devices like cell phones. We're looking for $100,000, basically to have a high production quality, totally sellable version that will directly compete with Rosetta Stone. Yes?
Go ahead. So, as users continue to learn on the free version, how will the product remain relevant for them to convert to the paid version?
So one more time?
As users continue to learn, right? So as they continue to excel using your free version, how will the product remain relevant to them for them to convert? Because obviously conversion is the most important thing.
Yes, I think one of the unique things that we have is that we're also developing, started out internally as us, we're developing a tool to create these lessons. What we're going to do is basically take this tool and make it public, so that anybody can go out and create lessons. A big thing with teachers, as far as language, try to summarize this real quickly. Language teachers, as far as teaching any language, they use whatever tools are available to them. They use bringing videos in the classroom, they just bring in any type of media that they have available to them. And a lot of the teachers we talk to requested a tool to actually build lessons. So what we're going to be able to do is use this tool, make it open source, make it public, so anybody can create a lesson very easily. And then we think the best of those lessons, we can create custom playlists. So we can have basically an infinite amount of lessons being generated from the public, from qualified teachers, and to make it basically constantly updating, really teaching subjects on anything. So we can really get to the generalized curriculum for certain learning needs, and then get into lessons on very, very specific topics.
I just want to add, every middle school has ESL programs now. This is a great market to that.
The teachers are really interested in partnering with them.
Are you part of the GLQ?
Not yet. Definitely looking to get into that, yes. Cool. So that's set languages.
Great. Okay, Andrew? While Andrew's making his way out, Andrew Koper is a Detroit area cyber entrepreneur, social entrepreneur. He started out on the good side, comes from Central Michigan, took a walk on the dark side, went to college in Ohio, not the really bad one, went to Oakland, so that's kind of okay. But then he came back to the good side, he's back in Michigan now. He's done some really cool stuff. We're just looking at some background. Maps of Detroit parcels. He's the one that invented that way back at the end of the 1990s. Detroit Skyscapes, Stop Motion Detroit. We've done some really cool stuff, sort of blending technology, social interest in growing, preserving Detroit, et cetera, et cetera. So as soon as the computer decides to work with us, this is why my daughter and wife call me a troglodyte. I said, well, if a string in the can can't reach from here to there, I need to talk to the person. They laugh at me all the time. Okay, here we are.
Thanks for the introduction. I am Andrew Koper. How many people have heard that Detroit has poor social conditions? You know, how many people have heard there's a lot of crime in Detroit? How many people have heard there's poor schools and things like that? I live in Detroit, and I care. I've always been interested in the world of politics and social issues. I moved here because I like great cities and wanted to discover all the great things about Detroit, but also experience these social issues. So I thought, you know, I wanted to learn what was going on and get engaged with these problems. And so, as a technologist and entrepreneur, I live in Southwest Detroit near Corktown, and I thought, on one hand, there's the social issues. On the other hand, where the world's in the midst of the information revolution, and is there a way to apply the power of the internet to social problems and making the world a better place? One of the things I've learned as I've lived in the city and volunteered and gotten engaged with these issues is that the city of Detroit government is a $3 billion has a $3 billion annual budget and 12,000 employees. I'm trying to. And so. So, in fact, you know, as much as you might see homeless people on the streets or a park with no slides or no swings in the swing set, there are resources. And so I think Detroit, I think when a lot of organizations underperform and misperform, I know from my work experience, and I think that, I mean, here's an org chart. All organizations are based like this. And again, the president, the mayor of Detroit has a $3 billion budget, 12,000 employees. Here's all the departments. These are the people that do all the work. Their social structures. I think a lot of things are based on relationships, whether you keep your job or not, promoted, demoted. If your supervisor thinks you're doing a good job, you're doing a good job. If your supervisor doesn't think you're doing a good job, no matter what, you're not doing a good job. And then I think I also see in the world, and I think Detroit City government also represents, in terms of there's so much more money and power if you climb up the org chart, that people who are really aggressive get that payoff, get promoted, or get themselves promoted, and get control of more of those resources. It's not based on a rational thing. And then, you know, once you climb up the org chart, let's say you're the chief of police. Maybe that's not the best example. 3,000 employees and $800 million of budget money. You know, you don't want to ever let go of that. Probably want to fight change. So I thought that Detroit should have a control panel. And I'm trying to want to go to the browser now. Can we go to the browser? So I programmed DetroitMetrics.org, which is a web-based application that graphs important quality of life metrics. And this is designed to bring transparency to the decisions that city leaders make, and share this data with the public, share the data with other city leaders, and allow them to do process improvement. Now, this is the website, and I see a problem here because normally there is the core of my application is not rendering. There's normally a line chart on here of this one was population. I grabbed some, I went to the Census Bureau, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, and I got crime information from the FBI's Uniform Crime Report. So This is, again, normally there's a line chart with a year and different statistics. And there's about, on the pull down up here, there was about 5 different categories. And so again, this shows these people who are in charge, the outcomes of the decisions they're making, and puts pressure on them to allocate the resources optimally. For example, people might be shocked to know that as much as there are a lot of murders in Detroit, 35% of murders in the city of Detroit are solved. So not only is there a lot of killing in Detroit, if you kill somebody, odds are you're going to get away with it. So, and then it's just less for, assaults and less for lawsuits and things like that. So this is, again, to show the outcomes of the decisions leaders are making, force them to do better, solve important quality of lives. This is, the link isn't working. My application uses Google Charts API.
Here it is.
And there it is. Google Charts API, JSON, Google Charts renders it out. I'm going to go a little bit over 5 minutes here. You have, that was population. Here's murder rates per capita. Let's go with violent crimes. Here's the crime rates going down, but still, when you look at something, there's a Google Charts API offers like a tooltip. Still not unacceptably high. City budget's always been bopping around $3 billion. Michigan's GDP. Michigan, like the rest of the country, is going up. And then, let me go back to the PowerPoint. So as bad as Detroit is, here's how it stands after in 2011. About 770,000 residents. That's been about a $65 billion GDP. And then the last slide, with Detroit metrics showing the outcomes that these people who have control of this power have, and forcing them to allocate resources optimally and improve the quality of government operations and services government provide. Here's Detroit. Michigan has 10 million residents and a $400 billion GDP. The United States has 311 million residents and a $15.5 trillion GDP. The world has 7 billion residents and about a $70 trillion GDP. As the government provides these better services, these services better, 30% of the economy is based on government spending, and 70% of the economy is based on private spending. More of this wealth will flow into the city. Chain stores like Macy's or Banana Republic will open stores in Detroit. Maybe Toyota opens, Hyundai opens its headquarters in downtown Detroit. More of this wealth flows into the city, and a lot of this poverty, social problems are better. So despite the simple user interface of DetroitMetrics.org, I do think there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives riding on what it does, and literally billions of dollars. So that's Detroit Metrics.
Questions?
So the biggest thing I see here is you seem to be holding the keys to some data that other people in the city I'm aware of that are doing other types of data mining could easily get together and have some useful applications. One example would be Jerry Pappendorf, who's running Why Don't We Own This, which is taking all the properties that are vacant and up for auction in the city and identifying them. Is there a way that you can combine your data on a more granular level that can take a look at neighborhoods, for example, where these rights are?
I think in general with e-government and Obama taking office and the information revolution in general, and then Detroit being particularly behind, I'd say compared to other municipalities in the private sector. I know Jerry, I like him a lot. We both live in Southwest Detroit, so we talk about this kind of things. I have tried to meet with the mayor's office and get Mayor Bing to adopt this, and I've been kind of passed off and shuffled off. My next step would be to maybe not be so much neighborhood based. I think there's merit in that. What is this for Hubbard Farms? What is this for Boston Edison? What is this for Census Tract number 57302? I think there's merit in that, and that would obviously be an enhancement or a feature. But the next step I'd want to do is maybe have departments, the police department. How many runs did you go on? The 36th District Court, the judicial branch. How many cases were prosecuted? How many cases did you handle? How many cases were successfully prosecuted? Fire department, how many fire runs did you go on? Get the individual departments of government to make sure that they collect that information, and then maybe create an API for their database so that my application can hit their servers, grab it, and then graph it out. So I think there's merit in what you said, but my next thought is to get deeper, get more granular data from departments of the city government.
New York has software that I believe is called Stack Control that pretty much does what you're planning to do. Have you benchmarked Detroit metrics against Stack Control, the police department?
I know there's a growing e-gov movement, e-government movement, and there are nonprofits around the country. There are conferences about how can we use information technology to carry out our operations. How can we use information technology to improve? I have not seen the stats site that you mentioned. I'm aware of different things like mobile apps that help you find an open parking space. The code for Detroit fellows who are here just did a text-based thing to tell you when a bus is coming. So there is some innovation taking place in government operations. It tends to be nonprofits making things and then saying to city governments, hey, you really need to adopt this. I would hope that there are some other control panels out there, and that probably is one that's we're looking at.
Who would you see using this? Because what I'm struggling with is there are two Detroits. There's the city of Detroit government, which may or may not work. Then there are outside agencies like New Economy Initiative, who was partnering with MEDC. They stand alone saying, we can't fix that, we're going to take our money, we're going to work on these things. So they are data oriented, but they know where they're going. Who do you see using this?
I specifically, I registered this domain name years ago, and I had been wanting to make something like this. Again, social problems, power, internet, very powerful thing. What's the most valuable way I can apply the power of the internet to solve social problems, in particular the city of Detroit? And when Mayor Bean took office, coming from the private sector as someone who ran a business and had to turn a profit and had to operate efficiently, I was really hoping that he would be more meritocratic and rational. If you guys are reading the paper, Kwame Kilpatrick and Bobby Ferguson and all these things based on relationships and kickbacks and money changing hands. I was really hoping that to get a meeting with Mayor Bing and pitch it to him and have him get it and go, yeah, I had a stock price, I had a P&L when I was in charge of his automotive company. I know that these metrics should be gathered and reported out, and we should be process improvement with them. I met with Carla Henderson. I established a relationship with Carla Henderson as one of his right-hand women, and she kind of passed me off to the IT department, and then Chuck Dodd, and so I kind of got. I ended up meeting with lower-level people, and so I was a little disappointed that the mayor's office didn't do it. Now that the code's written, I really did this kind of as a make the world a better place thing, but. There are 19,000 other municipal governments in the United States. So maybe now that the code's written, maybe I'll just have this service that other governments, maybe governments can pay for it. You've had your hands up. I don't know if you want to let me go, but
grab one more.
It sounds like you want to say something.
And to that point, I guess the last question I have is, how big is your team, and how do you, how fast do you look to, at least go about those other municipalities?
I am just myself. I am an internet programmer here in the city, an entrepreneur, and I had kind of a strategic decision to make. Am I this good person trying to do something good, or am I a businessman really trying to make money off of this? And so I programmed this over the course of some of this summer, gathering the data and getting the Google Charts API and the JavaScript and the JSON and the AJAX. So it's just me. I'm not sure if I'm really going to pursue it and try and make a business out of it. My girlfriend's pushing me to do that, but I'm kind of tempted to kind of move on and do something else because the mayor's office didn't adopt it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Well, that wraps us up formally for the evening. Are there any announcements about upcoming events? Yes.
At the MGM Grand, today was the first day. It's been a global automotive and energy summit. Also tomorrow, there is an event called Startup Michigan. I will be attending and I will write a report. Once I get through attending the meeting, I will try to send it to Dan, or I think I have your email address now. Yeah, that's it.
Couple of things. Boost Mission, that's our initiative from our Blue Water Angels, one of our sponsors. Great initiative. I think they do this in different sections or regions of Michigan, but one of them is coming here in Oakland University in Rochester. And basically, all of you guys can basically register and pitch. It's a big site. I don't know, it's a 3 or 5 minute pitch. I don't know. But basically, you get a pitch, you get then voted out of all the members who are pitching that night. The best one that we invite to dinner, and then I think they'll also be invited to one of their major events that's happening in Midland, usually once or twice a year. But it's a great initiative. Angel investors getting their input is worth just taking an opportunity to pitch an idea. And the other one is TEDx Detroit. Charlie just left. I thought he would be around to kind of pitch that as an event that's coming up in October too.
Yeah, it's I think it's the 26th, but it's only 100 tickets because TED has a rule where they set the number of people who can actually attend, and I mean it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. They're like slapping them on the wrist because they have 2,000 and 2,500 attendees in the last few events. So it's only 100 tickets, so you probably want to get your tickets fast. Also, TED Crunch is coming here. I believe November the 5th. They haven't announced the venue, but they're hoping to get to Madison. They'll be here. There's actually a lot of cool events coming up. Hodge Flemings is coming here with Brain Camp. Is at the Madison building. Brad Dale, he'll be here, and he'll be handing out his new book. I believe it's called Start Communities or something like that. And that's coming up. It's a lot of cool things coming up. But TEDx Detroit is definitely going to look out.
And the deadline for GLEQ again is
October 15th.
October 15th. That's it for tonight. Tom, the 7th, 8th?
Yeah, I don't know. Now that you said TED Crunch, is it November 5th?
Yeah, November the 5th. There, I created a list of events that was coming up. It's, November the 5th.
I think the 7th falls on Wednesday, so we'll be okay.
Yeah,
we don't want to conflict with TED Crunch.
Right. Well, they're going to be. They're going to 3 other cities, if I'm not mistaken: Boston, Detroit, and Toronto. So it's like
Chicago.
Oh yeah, Chicago. So but it should. I think it's an afternoon event, and they have no information on it right now. They're trying to get like sponsors, and I think with Entrepreneurship, trying to get who they are. So.
And November 7th, our next D-NewTech meeting will be where?
Here.
Here again?
Oh, no, it's December, I misspoke.
I think you
Here in
misspoke.
December.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm not exactly sure.
We're not sure where we'll be. We'll be somewhere.
Yeah,
Check out the website. We always say we'll be somewhere on planet Earth. I'm not quite sure where. I think we'll be around for a little bit longer. People just want to mingle and talk some more with the presenters. And thank you all very much for coming out.
Well, I was going to say.